And now from a physician's perspective, what benefits does a low-carb, high-fat diet have?
Well, I think the first one is weight control. But you'd think, in elite sport there wouldn't be a problem with that. But
Right.
Nonetheless, there are certainly some people who, some of our athletes and some of our cricketers who, as Shane has mentioned, had struggle with controlling their weight. But it's not just for sports people, and in fact, it's typically really for people who have middle-aged, putting on weight. I guess I'm a classic example. Of someone who was on supposedly a healthy low-fat diet, eating lots of cereals and grains and pasta and rice and so on, and yet over a period of 20 years, I probably slowly put on, I don't know, half a kilogram, a pound a year or something for 20 years, to the point where I was not grossly obese, but I was overweight, and I started to have some health issues. I had a family history of diabetes and so on. So I was just concerned that I didn't want that to happen to me, and so I read about Tim's conversion, as you say, because like all of us, we've all been taught to be advocates of the high carb diet and the carb loading for marathons and so on. And Tim's someone I've always admired, known him well through conferences and reading his work, and he's contributed to our books and so on. So we know each other well, and I've always sort of thought, well, for a South African, he was pretty smart, So
what's that supposed to mean?
No, he's a very smart guy, and so when he started to, and he's always been someone who's prepared to sort of challenge the accepted norms, and he's often been right in the past, and in fact he's always been right. And so when I found out that he was advocating this low carb, I thought, oh, that's interesting. So I started to read a few things myself, and the more I read, the more I realised, wow, I think we've really had this wrong for so long. And the fact that we've been advocating this low-fat diet for 30 years, and in that same 30 years, the rates of obesity and type 2 diabetes have just sort of skyrocketed, really, and almost in parallel with the low-fat diet. And so you've really got to think, well, hang on, have we got this right? And everything that I read and from what Tim was saying made sense. So I thought, well, that's two steps of the way. Someone I admire, respect, has gone for it. Everything I read seems to be okay. I better try it myself. And so I went low carb for 3 months, lost 12 kilograms.
Wow.
Felt fantastic, had lots of energy, and lost my spare tyre and a bit more probably. And it's something that I hadn't been able to do previously. So I felt good on it. I've not pushed it at all with my athletes or with the cricket team in particular. Shane and others sort of, I think, saw that I'd lost weight and got curious, and we talked about it, and quite a few of the guys have now embraced the diet. So I think from a health point of view, it's fantastic. Basically what we try and do is we try and stabilise our blood sugar levels, and if we're eating carbohydrates, they go up and down. You eat carbohydrates, you get a surge of in your blood sugar, and then your body responds to that, and then it drops again. That's when you get hungry. One of the big things you notice about this low carb diet is you're not hungry. I used to have breakfast, the normal sort of cereals and toast, and then by lunchtime you'd be hanging out for lunch, saying, is it lunchtime yet? Can I have a sandwich? And now, I don't even have lunch, and I don't feel hungry until till the evening, and so you feel a lot less hungry because your blood sugar levels are much more stable. And we know that it's those sort of fluctuations in blood sugar that it seems to lead to the long-term effects such as diabetes and so on. So, look, I can't say 100% that this is the right way to go for everyone. It's probably not for everyone, but certainly there's a significant proportion of the population who don't seem to metabolise carbohydrates well, and that's particularly in the middle-aged sort of population. They've probably been exposed to years and years of high carbohydrates, and after a while they become what we call insulin resistant or carbohydrate resistant, in that they don't cope with the carbohydrates as well, and that's when their sugars go up and you get to diabetes, and any excess sugars that you're taking in are also converted to fat. So I think that's what's happened with me, and my blood sugars are down now. My liver function's better than it was. My good cholesterol is better. My triglycerides are better. All the things that were supposed not to happen. Everything that we've been told, I think, for the last 30 years, a lot of it is probably challengeable, I think. And Tim's the one who's got out there and made the running, so to speak.